Parents, you and I have a lot in common. We love our kids. We want to raise great kids, kids who have self-worth, self-esteem. They care about themselves. They care about their family, their siblings. They care about others. They love themselves. They don't feel like they have to act out, show off. They don't have to do crazy stuff. They don't have to act out online or prove or brag. They're just kids who love themselves. But Jordan, this is a pretty mysterious topic. We're going to try to demystify it and give parents some really good action steps today. It seems like there's a lot of talk around about this psychology over the last 10 years on social media. I see a lot of this stuff. Now we're just adding to that by doing a podcast. I kind of wonder, though, were our parents talking about this or even thinking about this when we were growing up?
Maybe they did it in other ways, right? Like, they never really directly told us about self-esteem, but I think indirectly they try to teach us how to build that up, whether it's like get out and play with friends and try to, get outside most of the time, probably just because they needed the time to get away from themselves. But the reality is like us being around other individuals our own age and playing outside rather than online, it helped us with that real face-to-face interaction. And then, the reality is the world will beat us down, right? And that'll happen. I remember one time there was a bully. There was a situation where this bully was just yelling and screaming at his brother, like cursing at him. The brother was crying. And, that was a situation that us kids had to figure out how to manage ourselves, right? We were looking at this situation. We all had to, like, almost like a movie, rally behind this little brother and stand up to his bully big brother. And we did it together, which then raised his self-esteem and probably raised our own self-esteem. So it's like real-world interactions. And I think one of the reasons why we're talking about it so much right now is because all our kids have is social interactions. I mean, I know that's not true for everybody, but a lot of our kids have social interactions, and there is no real self-esteem being made. Even if I go to post a picture and Sean's like, dude, you look so great, man. Nice suit. You're fly. That like gets me a dopamine hit, but that really doesn't build my self-esteem much at all.
Right. Make you feel good in a second, but that's not genuine growth, right? It's like if we're gonna have a good episode on self-esteem, we gotta, we have to talk about how so many kids, teens, and even adults, we go searching for self-esteem in some shady places, and we've done some things. We struggle with some things. We still do some things to the adults that are like, we're trying to find ourselves. And if we're struggling with this as adults still, can you imagine what it's like to be a kid nowadays with all these screens, not knowing where their worth is?
It's a good point. I mean, I really think it's important for us to build it up. And I'm going to poke the question as to be like, why do we need it? I think, I'm going to ask that, but we all really, the reality is we know why we need it. But like, what is the point of having self-esteem? Like, maybe give us an example. You're in this industry. I mean, looking at someone with high self-esteem versus looking at a kid with low self-esteem.
Oh my gosh.
Is there too much self-esteem to where it turns to cockiness?
Right. Here's a two-part response to that. The first part is, I think we're doing this podcast and people are listening to it, which, by the way, thank you so much. We're in so many countries all around the world. You're listening to us. Thank you for trusting us. Is because I think this needs to be said. We've realized that parents are powerful, so powerful. Our parenting is so powerful. And many of us, we are like really intrigued by that. We're motivated. We're empowered. We're like, wow, I have a purpose here. Like how I parent this kid or these kids really matters. It's going to affect their self-esteem. And we don't even need to read the research or see social media videos on this. We just know. We know because either A, we were raised by some really lovely adults who just built that love and that self-worth in us, or we know because we were raised by some adults who did not do a good job of building our self-esteem. They did a good job of shrinking it and making life and adult life harder for us because of the toxic crap and sludge that they said to us and how they live their life so crazy and unhealthy. We're like, I don't want to be anything like that person. I want to do better for my kids, right?
Right. I mean, we've got tips here in how we can build self-esteem in our kids as parents, but I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
Parents are important, right? But like, think about the movie The Greatest Showman. Okay, everyone's seen this movie.
Such
a great movie.
It's so underrated, man. It is so good. It's so good.
So good. There's a scene when Hugh Jackman's daughter is getting into the ballerina world, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
the girls are making fun
Yes.
of her. At least we don't have peanuts or whatever they say, and they
'Cause she's
pretend
so
to throw
poor.
peanut because she's poor. Her dad is just trying to make it, and she's just getting into the ballerina industry. And the dad is like, "Goo, you were the best one on stage," trying to build her self-esteem. And the
Right.
little daughter's like, "You don't know what it takes to be a good dancer, Dad. This isn't like the clown show," or whatever she says, right?
Mhm.
So there is this balance, Sean, of like
Yeah.
parents doing what we can, but sometimes the kids have to figure out that self-esteem from other peers,
So true.
right? It's
Yeah,
not
it's
just
true.
what's in the household.
Yeah, it's so true. Totally agree. And that we got 5 action steps for you to use today to implement into your parenting, into your
Or if you're a
thinking, into your
teacher, right, you
mindset.
can help your kids.
Yes. And this is all science-backed stuff. I think you're going to love that. What a great reference to The Greatest Showman, because we've talked about this movie on this podcast before. I think it's a great movie that really, on the surface, it looks like it's a biopic about, like, I guess, Barnum and Bailey's surface. But, you could also make the argument it's actually a movie like about childhood trauma. This kid was
Yeah,
traumatized and growing up in poverty
totally.
and being abused by other people. And now he had to prove himself. Like, I need to show off. I need to do something. And his
Right.
wife, who's this healthy character, like, you don't need to show off. You're enough as you
Right.
are, whether we have money or you don't. And then he starts acting out. He gets all weird in the head. Such a great movie, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's
It is a great
let's
movie.
keep it going. All right, so Jordan and I have done some pre-work, some research, and we're each going to share 5 action steps on how to build self-esteem in our children. I'd like to spend the least amount of time on action step number 1 because it's something that we've just referenced so many times on this podcast. If you are
Okay.
involved in like listening to this show or kind of involved in like learning about, kids, childhood psychology, you've definitely heard of this before. And if you haven't, well, it's new, might be new for you, but you definitely need to think deeply about what you're about to hear. Okay, the first action step is about when you use your words, you want to be positive to your kids. Of course, you want to be positive. But when you're thinking about praising your kid, giving them positive words, encouragement, cheerleading, good stuff, what good parents do. That's what you should do. You want to focus your words on praising the effort, not the outcome. Okay, this woman named Carol Dweck out of Stanford, she wrote this book called Grit a long time ago now, 15 years ago, and it literally changed the world. It changed educators, it changed parents. Essentially, what her decades-long research showed of like, hey, there's these kids that have a growth mindset towards school, and there's kids that have a fixed mindset towards school. And my research shows that. The growth
Okay.
mindset means these kids are all about growing, and they're not afraid of failing. They're not afraid of looking stupid. They're just all down for a challenge. And they get a whole bunch of the other kids. And some of these kids are getting good grades and some aren't. But these kids are going to have something that Carol called a fixed mindset, which means I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to fail. I don't want to. It's hard for me to bounce back. And so I'd rather just not do it. In one study, she found that kids praised for their intelligence. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. Or, oh my gosh, this just came natural to you. Good job. They chose easier puzzles versus these other kids that they chose the harder puzzle. Well, why? Why would a kid choose an easier puzzle over a harder puzzle? Well, because these other kids, they have this growth mindset. So I have a few more quotes and things on this. I don't want to spend too much time on number 1, but what's coming up for you as you listen to me talk about this?
For me, it's coming up to like literally what we do as adults, right? So like if you're one who follows the rules, who gets good grades, who goes to college, who then gets a job, and then is an employee, that is more of like a fixed mindset. Then you got your 401k, like this is a whole life plan. You are taking care of yourself. And then you've got the idea of an entrepreneur or a businessman who is always in that growth mindset. I'm okay to take a risk. It's okay to fail. What is it? 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And these are constantly the big wigs of our society creating new platforms, whether it's tech, whether it's things you're buying, and they're really just trying to fail and succeed to try to help society move round and round. I think that's the difference, what you're
Well
trying to
said.
say as an adult,
Yeah.
right? It's like you've got this clear path and you've got good grades and you got a job and you have a high, status in your company, or you're like, hey, I don't care if my company goes bankrupt. I'm going to keep trying and try to hire as many employees as I can so that we can grow this into something greater. And so I think that could help, whether it limits you or helps you grow, like you're saying, which is obviously the better outcome.
Well said. Yeah, just thinking about employees, there's like these types of employees that they just, they have this fixed mindset. They don't want to push themselves. They don't want to make more money. They don't want to have more responsibility. They're just like at the workplace. They have a fixed mindset. Like, I just want the easy way out. Versus these other people are like, I want to make more money. I want to get promoted. I want to maybe be the boss or the manager or own something. And that would be an example of, I think, what you're talking about. Is that fair that I said that?
Yeah, and that's business-wise. But let's talk about sports. If you're not afraid to fail, you're not going to try something new, right? Think golfing. Like, you got to take a risky shot.
Yeah.
So it could be any kind of category we want to put it in.
Yeah.
I just happen to go business. It could be in sports. It could be in life. It could be like, oh, I'm in a relationship, but you know what? It could be worse. At least I've got, this person, and I know they beat me down, but this is where I'm at. It's like, okay, well, that's not a growth mindset, bro. Like, there's always something better around the corner if you're willing to accept that and leave that door open so it can, come into your life.
This example is a little bit of a stretch, but I have some friends, and two of them are siblings, right? So there's a brother and a sister, and they're my age. And these two people, they were raised in the same home. They have something in common. They don't like playing games, board games, challenges.
Yeah. Right.
And I've always been intrigued by that. Like, why? And they've told me they just don't like looking stupid. They don't like failing. And this is like, I've known them for decades. And it just makes me wonder, like, is that just, it's okay to not like games. I'm not trying to overanalyze it. But like, did something happen in that home when they were younger where they weren't encouraged to just try new things, or they hated failing or hated losing at Sorry or Monopoly? Like, what is so hard about, like, looking dumb or failing at a game? Like, what's the big deal? Maybe they have, maybe they have a fixed mindset when it comes to board games, but maybe they have a growth mindset when they come to other things in life. You know what I mean? It's maybe. Like there's different categories.
The hard part for me right now with my kids is everything, because I have twins, everything's a challenge. Race you to the car, or first one to this rotten egg, and I'm just like, and then it turns into a huge fight, as you know. And I'm just like, guys, everything doesn't have to be a challenge, right? Like, it's okay to just be.
Yes.
It's okay to.
Oh my gosh.
And then one gets so mad when they lose, right? And then I have to teach them about this losing mindset and it's a winning mindset, and it can get very frustrating, but I totally get where you're coming from. It's like, well, why even bother? Because I'm going to get mad, and then so-and-so's going to get mad at me, and I might as well just not even give it the opportunity.
Let me give you a couple phrases on do's and don'ts on how to talk to your kids. When you praise the effort, not the outcome. You've heard me and other people say things like this. Instead of saying, hey, good job, you could say, like, when they do like a good work on their homework, you can say, hey, I can see you worked really hard on that. Wow, you worked really hard. Or, hey, I really enjoyed watching you in your soccer game today. I saw you really pushing yourself. It looks like you're having fun. I'd love to see you out there working hard. Here's a couple like one-liners. Confidence isn't built by being told you're great. It's built by doing hard things and seeing that you're capable. Another way of saying this.
And the hard part is convincing the child that, right? It's like, well, okay, thanks, Dad, but we still lost.
So
and then it's your job to be like, well, it's not about winning and losing.
It's not. It's about, hey, you went out there. You were a great teammate today.
Yeah.
You worked hard. You did your best. You had fun. It's a game. And I love that about you, that you're out there just pushing. Whether your team wins or loses, that's not up to you. Here's another good one-liner, right, to think about it, is competence creates confidence. Competence creates confidence. So the more your kids become competent at emptying the dishwasher, at, playing a soccer game, at cleaning up their stuff, and the more you can say, hey, I see you. I see you. I see you working hard and putting after that. They're going to realize that, hey, this is the key to life. It's not just things coming natural to me. It's about me like pushing through and doing hard things and putting effort into those hard things. Like when you think about hard things that your kids are doing or teenagers are doing, what comes to mind for you? Like hard things.
Well, for me, I was gonna say it's all about longevity, right? Because like my son does gymnastics, and like
Oh, yeah.
on a day to day, it might be terrible, but years now, I'm like, dude, he's giving it his all, and so you constantly give this slow praise, like, dude, you're doing so good, congrats, you got that move, oh my gosh, you've been trying on that move for like 6 months, and you finally got it, nice, and so that confidence you're talking about comes with time. Right?
well
From
said.
us,
Yeah.
it's not a one day, one time thing. It's like, no, this is
Right.
going to come with time, and it's going to be years in the making
Right.
of building, and then that confidence is going to grow and grow and grow. And like for my daughter, it was cool because she just had an audition the other day for a real movie. It was so cool. We've never done that before. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But I did the mistake of being like, well, the reality is you're probably not going to get it, right? Because I know how tough it is to get
sure.
a role.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I had to stop myself. I'm like, that's not my job. I'm like, my job right now is, it doesn't matter if you get it, but just know it is very tough. But just work your butt off, memorize your lines, think about your character.
That's
And, I praised this whole process. And I think it was a
Yeah.
really cool time for her to try that.
That's so great.
And
What
then
a
with
cool
Kinlan,
story.
he has a disability, so it's going to take even more time. What's interesting about Kinlan is he has Down syndrome. For people who are just tuning in, don't know this, he's always happy. He's always like, high five, good job, I did it, yeah. He's always just like so excited when he does something. And what's cool is my kids can see the joy in him when he I can't wait till he learns how to tie his shoe. Right now it's like,
Yeah.
go poo-poo on the potty, and
Yeah.
we have a party. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
bro, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah.
he's so excited. And so I think that helps them with little victories in their life and gives
Love
them
it.
confidence too.
Well said. Yeah, because you're just making a scene and you're highlighting, hey, these are accomplishments. These are big deals, and
Right.
you know how to do them.
They can be small.
Yeah, and you're pointing out that effort. Here's a few things. Just let me be your parent coach, everybody, right now. And let me just poke you for a second. Here's some phrases that I think if we have do's and don'ts for phrases, here's some phrases that should be on the don'ts list. You might have said some of these things. And so if you have said them, let me just encourage you to rethink saying some of the things. Are you ready, Jordan? Are you ready for the list?
Yeah.
Okay. You did good. You're so smart. You're smart.
You did good. You're so smart. Okay.
You're natural at that. Oh, you're just not a math person. Oh, you're just not a writer. You're just not an athlete. How about this one? Oh, that came easy for you. You're amazing. Hey, you're the best one out there. I think those are all don'ts.
Okay.
Different reasons why. Essentially, you're praising this temporary identity of this smart kid that just doesn't have to work hard because things come natural to them.
Right.
And you're labeling them with these huge labels. You're this and you're not that. You're this and you're not that. When that's not what a growth mindset's about. Growth mindset is, hey, you're not good at anything because you're a kid.
Right.
And to become good at something, it takes time, perseverance. And so it's okay to not be good at something, but it's okay to be good at something. But to get there, it's going to take time. That's a little backbone. What do you think? Does that sound okay?
And it's so wise because you could totally imagine if you have this star football player in a really small town and they just think they're the best because they are the best. It's a small town.
Yeah.
The reality is there are so many people who could squash you. And if I just be like, oh man, that's so natural for you. You're the best one out there. You're going to get a D1 scholarship. This is so easy. And then the real world comes and the reality hits and it's not so easy. My brother-in-law just did a muscle building champion, where you build in Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. And he was told dude, you're going to win. You're going to win. You're going to win. You're going to win. Your body's better than anyone else. And there was this one dude that was a little better than him. And he was going in with this mindset, I worked so hard, I'm going to get first. And reality hit him. But he knew he worked hard. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how when reality sets in, it's better to have that growth mindset of you're humble. There's always someone better than you.
Yes.
And just know that you always have work to do. It's the people who think that they don't have work to do that have
Yes. Well said. And this happens. You want to think this way about yourself. You want to think this way about your kids, and you want to help the siblings in our homes understand that. Like this concept of the best. This one sibling wants to be better than their other sibling because that's where they're finding their identity, their power. They're comparing themselves, or maybe in their friend group. So this whole concept of the best creates a pressure to stay the best, which can lead our kids then to this fear of trying new things or trying harder because then they're not going to be the best. So I'd rather just not try something that I'm not great at because it would hurt my self-esteem because my self-esteem and my self-worth is linked at my performance. And this is how it's all connected. So you can say to your siblings, why do you care about being the best? It doesn't matter. You might, you want to be better today, but what about all the other kids? You think you want to be better than all them? Like if you go through life trying to compare and thinking this way, son, it is not going to be good for you. Just have fun and enjoy this and don't go through this. Comparison is the thief of joy. All right, tell me about action step number 2. How do we build self-esteem in our kids?
We've talked a lot about this one before too, so we don't have to be long on it, but it's basically just giving them responsibilities, and you can do it at a young age. Believe it or not, chores, giving them something to do. Anytime they say, hey, can I help? I know, I say it all the time. No, let me just do this. It's so much easier for me to tackle it. But if you stop and make your task longer to show them how to do it, it builds their credibility, right? It builds their self-esteem.
It really does.
So Harvard did this study. It was called the Harvard Grant Study, 75-year study.
75 years.
75 years, bro.
So long. Dude.
Yeah. Those kids who did chores are more successful in their careers down the road, and they're more successful in their personal relationships.
Amazing.
Then there was a Rossman study. They found that starting at the ages of like 3 and 4 was the best predictor of success in adulthood. So you can start with little things as they're small, and you don't have to make it like a miserable chore. Make it fun, right? Yeah. Like, hey, we're going to clean up. Let's play some music and dance while we do it. It could be anything. And if you look at the why this works, this responsibility we have, I mean, for me, I'm a task-oriented person. If I have a list and I check off the list at the end of the day, I feel great, right? That's why they say if like, you're stressed, clean the house, because it's self-gratification right there. You could see something being done immediately. So this responsibility teaches competence, accountability, contribution, right, to something bigger than themselves. Key ingredients to self-esteem is what we all need, all those, and they feel that they're valued when their help matters. So like, you know, right now my kids are 11. I should be having them do more chores, but we do like, you know, make your bed, do the dishes, take out the trash.
Those are great, man.
Great. But I need them to change my dang oil in my car. Right? I need them to rotate my tires.
Those are great. Hey, let me tell you a story, and let me ask you a personal question. In preparation research for this episode, I started asking myself, Jordan, like, when did I start really loving myself? When did I feel like my self-esteem really got solidified? And I was surprised by my answer. So I'm going to tell you what came up for me, and I want to ask you, at what age were you? Did you really decide and feel like, I like myself, I'm okay? And for me, the biggest breakthrough is that when I was 16 and 17, I started working at a grocery store called Safeway. And I bagged groceries for 2 years, all my junior year and my senior year. And I attribute that experience, not my basketball career, not my parents, not my schoolwork, not my art. I attribute that as that's the first time I felt comfortable in my own skin and started like loving myself. Like, I can do this. I can bag groceries at Safeway, and I can relate to adults. I'm enough. I can make my own money. I can pay for my own gas, my own insurance. I'm a big boy, and I did it. I think that's like the first time I started really loving myself. And I feel like that's kind of later in life for some people.
I don't know, man. I think high school's hard. Very few, people I think are that comfortable in high school. We're all just trying to be accepted and loved. Unless you're like part of the popular crew, and even if you go talk to the kids in the popular crew, they're probably going through stuff that they're not confident either. So I feel like that was a great age. I would say for me, it was even later.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I mean, I think I was always somewhat confident, but then I was also not confident. So I was like right there in the
Yeah.
middle where I probably also didn't care as much as other people. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm grateful
Yeah.
for what I have. I've always had this grateful mentality, which has helped me. But
Yeah.
I went to college. I learned a lot more about myself. I explored with different friends and like kind of had different jobs in college. So I had this comfortability there. But then once I got a job in the real workforce, like out of college, not a fast food place, it's like a real quote unquote career for
Yeah. Yeah.
$9 an hour. Okay, this is my career for
Oh my
$9 an
gosh.
hour. But I
Yeah.
had like, they're like, do you want, a 401k? I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great, but I can't put any money towards it because I make $9 an hour. But then I had this guy that I worked with. His name was Troy, and I was so green. I was so new, being on camera, trying to learn how to report and
And you were a
storytell.
cameraman, local camera, or local weatherman.
I was a local, weatherman, but I also reported right during the week.
Yeah.
And he and I would sit and talk for like hours every day. And he had all this experience. And he would pump me up with like, not even like, you're so awesome, but like, dude, you're getting so much more experience than other people. It's going to help you so much. And I looked at that as like, okay, yeah, I'm getting all these reps, right? It's like repetitions. And, I would ask for advice and he would help me. And my confidence really started to build there.
Okay.
And then I think for me, I always seek people who are older, their advice,
Wow.
because I see the success in them and I try to duplicate that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I compare myself as much with the person right next to me other than like what I want later since I'm such a forward thinker. So I can't identify like an exact moment. But it's been, like I said, time, slowly building over time.
Wouldn't that be an amazing question just to ask like the 10 people in your life? What age were you when you just started feeling comfortable in your own skin and you just loved yourself?
Right.
I think a lot of people, I think people would say there's going to be people out there that says it's in their 20s and their 30s. I think there's people out there be like, it hasn't happened to me yet. That's why I'm listening to this podcast. I wonder how many people would say, yeah, I think like in the 3rd grade, right? Or I think my parents were so loving. I think I always felt that way. I don't know, man. I'm just hanging out.
All right. So as we move on to number 3, I have a real deep question here. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer it. If I am a child and I'm not getting this self-confidence boost from my parents, if I'm not getting any recognition from my peers in school, I'm by myself, I'm alone. How am I supposed to, who am I supposed to look to for that?
Right.
How am I supposed to get that confidence if no one's giving it to me?
I don't have the answer for that. I should think about that. Right. You're talking about a deep question. How does a child gain self-esteem and confidence if there's no healthy adults in their life? Right. I watched this movie Matilda with my daughter a couple days ago. So good. By Danny
Great
DeVito,
movie.
directed. I cannot believe it. It's kind of dark though. Like, so the characters were so bad and mean. Matilda, the
Dude,
story.
but it was so good. Pee Wee Herman was in that one. That was such
Pee
a
Wee
good
Herman.
movie.
Yeah, but so that would be like the character that comes to mind. Like, what would a child be like if she's raised by dysfunctional parents? This girl, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Let me think about that and get back to you because I got a couple ideas brewing. Let me simmer on them for a second. I got a teenager at my house right now. He's 18 years old. He showed up at my house at 8 o'clock in the morning to do yard work. He has no experience with yard work. He showed up wearing all black in black baggy pants.
You're like, dude, you're working in the sun, bro. Like, come on.
And I said, hey, I'm here to help you learn how to do some of this stuff because I got 3 acres, so I got a lot of work for him to do. And he's out there sweating right now, man, working hard. And it makes me think, is he going to have more confidence and self-worth at the end of today? I think he is because he's going to be able to.
Well, especially because you're paying him, right? He's going to have
Yes.
some money. I did that same thing in college. I worked a whole summer landscaping
Yeah.
and there every day sweating. And I don't know if I learned much in that moment. Like, oh, yeah, I'm learning, but when you get money for your work, it's like I can do things for myself now. And there's confidence with that. That's why getting a job is so powerful.
So powerful. I don't know anything about this kid. I know his first name. I know he's out there sweating, and I know he's hopefully like pushing himself. He's like, look, I can do this. I can learn new skills. I can meet strangers. I can go on their property.
Yeah.
I can get sweaty and learn about how not to
Now, if
wear
he
black.
busts a pipe, if he puts a pickaxe through a pipe, how mad are you gonna be? Hey, it's okay to fail, bro, but I'm
on
cutting
me.
your funding for today.
We'll actually talk about failure next, but in the next point. But let's talk point number 4, man. Tell us your thoughts. We're on point 3. That's actually have to do with point number 3. Is actually about failure. And let me poke around about failure for a second, because here's what the research showed us. You want to build a kid with great self-esteem, well, let them fail, but coach the recovery. There's a big difference. A lot of parents, they don't want to see their kid fail.
Right.
It's too scary. And then there's parents that are like, yeah, my kid has 2 Fs right now. I'm letting them fail. Let me give you some insight into this. So this concept that you might have heard of, I think it's going to become more well-known and popular in the next 10 years. It's called learned helplessness. Have you heard that before? Learned helplessness. Essentially, what you can imagine is this kind of this fixed mindset mentality, like, I can't do it. It's just too hard. Oh, I can't do this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a chance this kid may not come back and work for me ever again because it's just too hard work for him. And I won't judge him if he doesn't. It's not yard work, manual labor is not for everybody. But the lesson came out of this guy named Martin Seligman, and his research on learned helplessness shows that when kids are shielded from failure or shielded from hard things, and they're not taught how to respond to failure, to hard things, well, they learn that they feel powerless, and then they doubt their abilities.
That makes sense.
Right? So you don't challenge kids. You don't put them out there. Or you put them out there, they get eaten up, and they got no adult helping them process all this crap. Well, then they're going to be like, you know what, I can't do it. I'm a failure. I'm fixed.
Right.
So this self-esteem, self-efficacy theory explains that this belief in one's ability to recover from failure. This is deep. Listen to this. The belief in one's ability to recover from failure is one of the strongest predictors of resilience and long-term self-worth. Boom. That's huge.
Dude, I think we're watching that play out in real time. All right? For any NFL fans out there, think about the Shador Sanders story. Shador Sanders coming out into the NFL. Supposed to be a first round draft pick.
Top 5.
The dude, top 5. The dude drops to, I think, the 5th round.
Yeah, so that'd be like he went from like potentially number 5 overall, number 1 overall, to like 150 overall.
Yeah, and it was the Browns' 2nd quarterback draft pick.
Yeah, and they had another quarterback before him. Yes.
Yeah. All right, the 2nd quarterback. But what I'm watching is how Dion is coaching him. Now, this is public. I'm just watching it through the tabloids, right?
Yes.
But what I like about it is Dion is all about like working hard, praising God, at least publicly.
So you're talking about his dad. Shadur's dad is a famous coach named Dion. Please continue.
All right. So what's interesting is now you're showing up thinking you were supposed to be top pick. Mm-hmm. Then the reality set in and you were really maybe a nobody. You barely got picked. And now you have to rebuild your self-esteem after the NFL squashed you. And hopefully, I'm hoping this year we find out that he actually gets to start. We'll see. When this airs, I could be totally off. But this will be an interesting year to see what happens with him. And not only this year, maybe the next 2 years, because how he bounces back is going to be really important to see.
Yeah. This is why Carol Dweck's research found out that organized sports is an amazing way to grow grit in kids. And because it pushes them. And coaches push them. Also things like other extracurricular organized activities. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, youth group, piano lessons. Yeah. These are things, and this is why so many kids love video games, because it actually teaches them to have grit. I failed to the level. I died. My team lost. Well, I'm not going to give up. The problem with video games is that we have a whole generation of teenage boys now who have a ton of grit when it comes to a video game. And they haven't learned how to translate that into real life. The problem with social media is that we have a whole generation of girls teenage girls who have just been destroyed by comparison. They don't feel like they're competent. They don't feel like they're good enough because they keep comparing themselves to these images that they see. So here's the takeaway. Helping kids recover from failure builds a belief in their own resourcefulness. It's the core of self-esteem. Now, let me poke around for a second. Can I poke?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you have a kid who's got a couple F's in school. They're failing. Does that mean the parents should buy them new video games?
That's a good point.
Let's say a child fails to control their temper in the home. I'm using the verb fail here. And they lose their temper and they go off on their whole family. Does that child still get to play in their sports game on Saturday? This child fails. They're cheating on a test. They get caught. Do you still buy this kid a new screen for their birthday? Just hang with me. I'm going somewhere with this.
What if they're turning 16 and you promise them a car?
Right, and you promised them a car.
Right.
This child says, I'm going to go to summer camp. So you spend the money. You sign them up for summer camp. Summer camp comes. They said, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm too anxious. None of my friends are there. I'm not going. What are you going to do? Are you going to let them stay home and just watch Netflix all day? I don't know if I'm going to do a good job of communicating this, but here's the thing. When your kids fail at something, what it means to coach the recovery means you might have to let them reap the consequences of their actions, their failing actions. You got to let that sting. You got to let them feel the pain of their poor choices. That's part of the recovery. What we have right now is we have parents who are confused by this, and they're either not letting their kids fail, they're lawnmowering parenting, they're just pushing their kids through, they're over-parenting these kids, or we have these kids that are getting under-parented, and they're failing to do the right things, but then they're still getting all these nice things from their parents when they haven't earned them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you see how this is happening all around? Did I do a good job?
As
or
a
was I
parent,
little off?
you did. As a parent, how do I know when enough time has passed for the sting to move into the coaching process?
Yeah, I don't know right now. That's the discipline, right? That's part of this. The discipline means to train. So failure means you know, it's not good to let your kid keep failing over and over. It means you need to do a better job of helping them to succeed.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be something that we have to manage as parents on our own. Like, you know, we'll know when enough time is. But I think the important thing, as Sean is saying, is like we have to allow the stinging to take place. That's what's hard. There is this analogy. I don't know if I'm going to say it right, but it was like this kid scrapes his knee and he comes to his mom for comfort, and his mom's a safe place. But then his mom had to pour alcohol on the knee and you know, clean the knee. And the kid couldn't stand it. It was stinging, and he's like, "Hate you. You know, you're hurting me. Get away."
Yeah.
But really, the mom was helping the kid to get better.
Oh,
right?
well said. I like that. Yeah.
So it's like you allow the sting so that they can get better.
That is a brilliant addition to this point. I'm glad you said that. Because let me rephrase the teaching. Does this teaching sound better? Instead of saying let them fail, then coach the recovery, I think this sounds better. Let's play around with words. Let them fail and feel the deep stinging of their failure, and then be there for them to help them recover. I think that's better than let them fail.
You're saying it in a different way, but yes, you let them fail, let them feel the failure, and then help them get out of it, and let them know that, like, dude, it's okay to fail, but now we're going to work harder so that doesn't happen again. And if it does, we'll work hard to not, you know what I mean? We're constantly trying to not fail. Okay. So, I think that's really wise.
Yeah. And then there's people that are deep in the psychology, authors, YouTubers, inspirational speakers. I mean, these type of people, what they say is like, you know, when my kids fail at something, I celebrate it. I'm like, great job. You failed. Like, they're just, some of these people are so into like making sure my kid, making sure my kid is not afraid to failure. Like, I know that if they can bounce back from this, they're one step closer to being that gritty, tough kid that I'm trying to raise. Let's move on to point number 4 of 5, how to raise strong.
Okay, 2 more points. see and name their inner qualities. So you got Daniel Siegel, Harry Hartzell. They have this key concept here in this research, the power of showing up. So these two guys, Siegel and Hartzell, I say guys, Daniel and Mary, so guy and gal, emphasize the importance of children feeling seen, feeling safe, feeling soothed, feeling secure. All right. So when our kids are emotionally seen, even as a parent, when I'm emotionally seen, think about when a parent reflects back to their inner experiences. Promotes secure attachment, emotional intelligence, a healthy self-image. Right. So the hard part is getting our kids to feel all this at the same time. But again, this is a long process of just being that well-rounded parent. And why this matters is, you say something like, "You're so pretty, good job." Some of the things Sean told us we're not supposed to say. Over time, they may feel hollow. Like, gosh, you're so pretty. You already said that. Okay, thanks. I already know. Or, man, good job, good job, good job. But like the effort, I think what Sean said is just so much more important.
Right.
But if we name these deeper traits, kindness, honesty, effort, right? We name, we compliment how kind they were to a friend at the playground.
Mm-hmm.
I never complimented my daughter on this, but the cool thing is she'll like find a girl that feels left out. She'll go, "Hi, what's your name? I'm Emery." She'll like go right in and just like
So
try to make
cool.
them feel comfortable. It's super cool, and I see that. I'm like, dude, she's so great. I've never complimented her on that. I probably should.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're
But that's
talking
that
about right there.
kindness.
Like
It's exactly what we're talking about,
I
right?
love how
I don't
you push
compliment. I should.
it's like you have a gift. It's just you're a gift, and this is a strength you have, honey. It's like that.
And here, let me show you a real life example. So she'll get beat up not beat up physically, but like emotionally by friends in her grade.
Yep.
No one likes me. They call me teacher's pet. They just say I'm a goody good, right? But again, that's that kindness that I see as an adult that thrives. That's that kindness that people on the street be like, "Your daughter is amazing. Did you know your daughter did this to my kid? Help them do X, Y, Z," right?
Yeah.
And so I need to do a better job with letting her know that this is huge. Who cares what these other kids think? They're just jealous. They want to be like you. They're mad that you're always so kind to everybody because they see that they are mean sometimes and they want you to be mean too. But she has this like double-edged sword where she's got this beauty, but yet the kids don't see it at that. So then she's like, "Well, maybe I need to be more of an a-hole to my teacher." I'm like, "No, that's not what, to make the kids think you're cool,
Right.
And so
Right.
I need to do a better job at naming that trait, that kindness, that honesty, the effort she gives. But it gives these kids more stable internal foundation of who they are.
My oldest is 20, and she started struggling with her anger quite a bit when she was 6 years old, so 14 years ago. And
Dude, that's weird to say. A, you have a 20-year-old. B, you're talking about your daughter 14 years ago. Dude, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy?
so what? It's crazy. I know, getting old.
Time is crazy. We're all getting old.
Where she's at now is just a really confident young woman who's confident in who she is and kind of patient with her life. Like she has good things in the future for herself. And how I played out this teaching with her when she was younger, that when she would lose her temper, of course I was never perfect at it, but instead of saying things like, "Gosh, you have an anger problem," or "Kid, control yourself," I'd say, "Gosh, I love this about you. You are a firecracker. You are a lioness. You are bringing the heat. Man, this is such a great trait you have." See, right there, I'm seeing that quality in her.
Yeah.
One of my other children was, not so much right now because she's about to turn 16, was an avid reader and a big writer when she was younger. She still writes. And so I would see that, say, "Gosh, I love the effort you put into this. I love seeing you read. You have such a vivid imagination. Like, you really have something that no one here in this family has, a love for books and word. I just love this about you." See, I'm just trying to do what it says in point 4. See it and name their inner qualities. So much better than good job.
Yeah, well, and because like their siblings or their friends, I'm like, "God, you're such a nerd. You're reading again.
Yeah, right.
You got your nose in a book again," right? But like,
Right.
if she knows that there's a good
Right.
trait to be doing that from someone in the home or outside the home, that's important. right?
Yeah.
Back to your Matilda. You know, she went to go to the library just because she loved reading. Her parents made fun of her. Why aren't you watching TV, right?
I know.
Get your head to the TV, right? She
Yeah.
stood out like a sore thumb. But then the teacher was
Yeah.
like, no, reading's amazing. And then she's like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, you know, she got that confidence.
Some people say that a parent's inner voice becomes a child's inner voice, but that's not always true. That's just a catchy Instagram phase. But it might be true. It might be true that our voice becomes their inner voice. But here's what is true for sure, is that their inner voice is the most powerful voice in their life. Their inner voice is going to make or break their own self-worth. So how do we help support their inner voice? Well, by giving them positive words to think about themselves and positive words to love themselves. Like here's a little catchphrase. You don't get self-esteem from being liked. You get it from liking who you are when no one's watching.
Yeah.
So
The hard part is getting there.
the hard part is getting
Liking
there.
who we are when no one's watching. Because we're always trying to make people, you know, oh, look what I'm doing. Like, do you like me
Yeah.
now? Yeah, gosh, that's so hard in today's world.
So I was working hard because I left my favorite thing about self-esteem for last. But before I get to it, let me say one last point on point number 4 about a parent's positive words. I was doing a lot of research getting ready for this. And as I was going through the research, I developed 4 points, but not the 5th because I was going to leave the best for last. But then I asked myself, like, I don't really like where this is going. I don't like where this podcast is going. And I said, why? I feel like something's missing. And then I started thinking, and I look at the notes more, and I said, you know what? This last point that you just talked about a parent seeing and naming their inner qualities, I was like, it made me wonder, can a child just being raised in a really lovely, healthy home around lovely, healthy parents, does that create self-esteem? Is that enough? Right there. Is that enough? I think that's a good question, don't you think? Like
I
these
think it's a great
parents
question.
aren't overly this, they're not overly that. They're just normal, lovely parents who are cool and they're not extreme, they're not weird. It's a love in the home. Made me wonder, is that enough to
I'm
create
gonna say I'm gonna say no.
I don't know the answer, but I know what some of the research has. Are you ready for this?
I'm gonna say it builds a great foundation, but I don't think it solves the problem of self-esteem. That's my personal answer. What is the research?
I don't know the answer. I'm just going to read you what I have
Oh.
because to support what you just said, right, you could grow up in a really healthy, loving home,
Right.
but if you don't have chores, if you're addicted to screens, you don't have a job when you're 16, you know, you don't play sports,
Yeah.
you don't go to
Right.
church, Boy Scouts, you don't push yourself in music, whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, here's what
Yeah,
the
you need
research
the
says.
other elements. That's my thing. You need the other elements to
good.
help
That's
boost
good.
it. But yeah, please continue.
But here is some really, really good news if you have a loving home. If you have a loving home, the chances of you raising kids who love themselves, who know how to then recreate a loving home and a loving marriage is going to skyrocket. I'm not going to bore you
Amen.
with all these
True.
stats, but
Amen.
let me just tell you
Yeah.
5 quick things. 1, attachment theory is going to go off the charts. Children who form secure attachments with their parents or caregivers, well, they're going to develop a deep sense of safety and trust and self-worth. I'm lovable. I know I'm lovable because these people in my life, they love me so much. Number 2, parenting styles.
Good.
If you grow up and your parents are very strict, authoritarian, well, there's a chance that that's going to impact you. It's going to negatively affect your self-esteem. If you grow up and your parents are extremely neglectful or extremely passive, well, that might negatively impact your self-esteem. Number 3, parental warmth and emotional support. A research done 11 years ago showed, not a big shocker here, that if you grew up with warmth in the home, well, you're going to have higher self-esteem as adults. Makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
Number
Makes
4,
sense.
hope we're not
Yes.
verbal praise.
You're not.
And emotional validation. We just talked about that with point number 1. Not a big surprise. If you grow up with positive parents who are building you up, not tearing you down, well, the research says that you're going to be more of a confident, self-worth adult. And number 5, we talked about this last week, ACEs, ACE, adverse childhood experiences. Shouldn't come as any surprise. If you grow up or you have a healthy home where there's not a lot of ACEs or any ACEs going on, where you're putting your kids in position for long-term health and success. So
So true.
Yay!
And you know
Healthy
what? As
parenting
you're
in
saying
homes.
that, I'm gonna change my answer because I
Oh my
think
gosh,
my
you are.
answer, yeah, my
You
answer
are.
goes on a deeper level of like my A-type personality. If I want to succeed at something, I'm gonna look for outside praise, and it's gonna come out of my household. But I'm gonna get there because I have a good foundation, which comes from my family, and then I'm gonna try something, and I'm gonna see what the world thinks of it. And if they give
Yeah.
me that praise, then I will get that
Yeah.
self-esteem. However, that's me. As you're talking, I'm thinking of my sister. My sister has the most self confidence of anyone I ever know, and she doesn't.
Wow.
She's so happy with just being as is. She doesn't have to prove
Wow.
anything to anybody. She doesn't need
Yeah.
to go get a job. She doesn't need to climb the corporate ladder. She just wants to raise good kids, maybe have a garden, right? I guess if the garden doesn't blossom the
Maybe
way she
have a
wants it, she'd be like, oh
garden.
man, like she just wants
Right.
to be like a homestead wife who
Right.
lives off the land and like is super
Yes.
content with being the way she is,
Mm-hmm.
and her self-esteem is sky high. So I think having that lovely household, like you
Mm-hmm.
described, can do wonders. It just depends on the personality, what that person wants.
Wow, that was really well said. It made me think of myself for a second. Um, can I share something personal real quick? I think for me, my home life growing up was so chaotic and dysfunctional and not pleasant. I found solace in something we haven't talked about on this today's episode. I found solace and self esteem through my faith, through my
Yeah,
spirituality, through my
right.
prayer life, through my relationship with God was so stirring and moving. It gave me confidence and worth. Like I am enough because I have God in my life. Like He loves me, and it's okay if nobody else does right now because I know that I'm worthy of love. And so I don't have any stats on that right now, and but that changed me forever. And it's my own faith and spirituality, my Christian faith makes me who I am today. And I think my wife Danielle would say the same thing. Like, it's like, is there something that's more powerful than a lovely, powerful Christian? Is there something that's more powerful than a lovely, healthy home with parents? Maybe there is. And maybe for some
Yeah.
people it's their own because they didn't have that, so they make it with their own church life or their own spirituality.
So you answer my question that I asked at the beginning part of the show. What if you're a kid who doesn't have a healthy home, who doesn't have that self-esteem being built up by their peers?
Right.
Where can they go to get that? You just answered that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like Matilda found Miss Honey. But what if Matilda
Miss Honey.
what if Matilda never found Miss Honey? You know?
Right.
Where would she be? Where would I be if I never found my spirituality, my
And you
faith?
didn't find your spirituality until what age?
I was introduced to it when I was 16. A friend invited me to
Okay, so
church.
you're a little you were a little older.
And
It's
then
not
I
like you were
got deeper
8.
into it when I was 21.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's definitely something there, man.
Here's number 5 point. I saved the best for last. I learned this 10 years ago and I was like,
Yes.
that is so good. I think you're going to love it. How do we build self esteem in our kids? Here's a catchphrase: self esteem comes from doing esteemable things. Simmer on that.
Self-esteem comes from doing esteemable things. Like steaming broccoli?
So, yeah, think of a teenager who's
What it like
partying,
what?
partying, doing drugs,
Right?
not studying, doesn't have a job,
Right?
not doing yard work,
Right?
not active with his family or her family, on Snapchat all the time. I don't think these are esteemable things. Do you think they're esteemable things? Worthy things,
I see.
beautiful things?
Okay. Right. I don't know what the word esteemable is, but I get where you're going with this. No,
Good
it's not.
things, right? I think
Yeah.
you want to,
Good
if you got a
things.
young person who's struggling with self esteem and confidence, you look at how they're living their lives. They're probably not doing many esteemable things, they're doing
Right.
unestimable things. It's like, here's a little catchphrase: we don't become proud of ourselves because things are easy. We become proud because we do what's right when it's not.
One of the things I'm so grateful for is like having Kindle in our lives. It forces us to do things for a nonprofit and to help
Yeah.
those with disabilities. And the kids
Yeah.
get to see that you do something that's greater
So
than
good.
yourself.
Yeah, buddy.
And I think a lot of people say when you are dealing with depression, one way to help you get out of it is by like volunteering,
Yes.
helping someone who has a need greater than your own, and you feel this worth.
Yes. I think me working at Safeway bagging groceries, I would take, and at Safeway you had to ask people, would you like help out in their shopping cart? And then you would take the groceries
Oh.
and you would put it, and a lot of older women and old ladies, they would say yes. And I was like, I'm really helping people right now. And I'm putting
Yeah.
a smile on their face. And it was like, it brought me so much more self-esteem doing that than playing year-round basketball and making a basket, right? Just
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
people. I remember listening to the Checkers stories and hearing stories about their lives, their hardships, their marriages, just listening to them for 2 years and comparing their lives to my life and just being a good friend to them, these adults. That made me feel good about myself. Like, I can do this. I can be a nice, lovely person who shares positivity and goodness and faith throughout the world. I can do this. And we're
Dude,
still
I
doing
don't
it
know.
right now on a podcast.
I know, it's so true. I don't know if they ask, do you need help out anymore? Maybe they do. I haven't heard that phrase in a while. I would always say no, because I'm like, I got it, I can do it. But you're right, there is something to be said where maybe like, it's like I remember one time I was buying dinner for a friend and he was so mad. He's like, no, you don't buy my dinner. Like,
Yeah.
I buy your guys' dinner, And I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, don't steal my joy for being able to pay for you. So it's like sometimes the bagger wants to help you out.
Yes.
Don't be so like hot-headed. I could carry my
Right.
own dang bags. Instead, be like, yeah, man, I'd love for your help.
Every time I go to like a drive-through and I get my food, I look at the person who's giving me the food, and I'm always like, thank you so much. And I smile. And it seems to me like for the majority of the time, I can't speak for everyone, the people handing me their food, they seem like they're having a good time. They seem like they don't
Yeah.
hate their job. Because I think that feeling of giving somebody food, serving them food, like
Right.
that's a human thing. And I saw a research report just this morning that in many states in the United States of America, the number one most popular job is fast food service.
Really?
Now that's for a different conversation, or how you feeling about that. But the art of making food, preparing food, and giving it to people, it makes people happy. And every job is like a service job. Every job is good, whether you're the garbage man or the CEO or the fast food person flipping the burgers. It helps people. And this is why chores and teamwork in like jobs, it changes people. It's good things.
It really
teaches
does.
them grit.
That's a good point, because you're serving a need.
You're
And it's so
serving.
important too, like if you have a kid who's gonna get a job, either taking the mentality like that, like, oh, I'm feeding people, instead of like, oh, I got this job for minimum wage and I just throw the food out, right? Like, no, you have a purpose, right? Or finding employment from a company or an organization that you actually feel like you're doing good.
Yeah, man. It's so good. It's so good. Here's a little recap,
very
okay? Here's a recap. Here are 5 ways to build self-esteem in your children. Number 1, use your words wisely. Praise their effort, not their outcome. Oh, I like to see you work hard. Oh, it was so fun watching you play in that game. Oh my gosh, I saw you doing your homework. Man, I know that was tough, but you got through it. Number two, give them real responsibilities at home, chores.
Yeah.
Harvard did a 75-year study. And guess what they found? Kids that had chores, even children as young as 3 who were cleaning up and doing chores, they became more successful adults who had higher self-esteem. This is pretty crazy, the power of responsibility. Number 3, let your kids fail. Listen to me though. Let them fail. Let them feel the sting of that failure. That is key. But don't just leave them hanging. You're their person. Coach the recovery. Be there for them. Mentor them. Emotion coach them to recover from that stinging failure. Number 4, a parent's words are powerful. Look at your kids and see them and see their inner qualities and point them out and cheerlead them and celebrate them. Help your kids see how they're gifted here and they care about people here, or they have an insight here. Like, help them see like the beauty that's inside of them. And number 5, I think, is my favorite. Oh, I love number 5. It's a little catchphrase. I love this catchphrase. Remember this. It goes like this: as we think about building self-esteem in our kids, self-esteem comes from doing esteemable things.
Doing good things.
You want to have your kids become very wonderful adults who love themselves, who care about others, will realize that doing unestimable things, drugs, alcohol, abusing screens, doing foolish, selfish things, these are not good things. The more they do good things, serving others, leading others, caring for others, putting others first, doing tough things and being committed to them, self-esteem comes from doing esteemable things.
Beautiful. Love it. And it's going to make us better parents and have a better household.
Let's do it. Let's keep changing the world through our parenting, everybody. Thanks for letting Jordan and I be in your life and spending an hour with us. If you love this podcast, then do us a favor, go on your podcast provider, leave us a positive review. And if you want to go deeper with me, you know where to find me on my website. Keep loving those kids and raising great kids, everyone.